penalty. And so that's the one statement that I'm aware of. I mean, it wasn't exactly a demand for the death penalty, but so, I mean, the death penalty, ultimately, I made my final decision by the time we filed charges, if that's.
Okay, but the question I asked you was, had you discussed with the governor your intentions?
At some point, I did. I told the governor that I intended to seek the death penalty.
And was that before Mr. Robinson was arrested?
I don't recall if it was before or after.
Okay, I'm going to represent to you, and we can file an exhibit on this in a bit, that on September 11th, the governor said at that second press conference, we are working with our attorneys, getting affidavits so we can pursue the death penalty in this case, and that will happen. And you were standing next to him when he said that, right?
I probably was.
Okay. Had you already told him that you've discussed this with your team and this is our decision?
I may have. I remember telling him that I would be seeking the death penalty.
Did you tell the governor that the child of one of the members of your office was present at the shooting?
No.
Did you tell anybody else in state government that the child of one of the members of your team was at the rally?
Not that I can recall. It just wasn't part of my thinking.
Okay. Are you aware whether the member of your team told the governor or anybody in state government about that?
I don't know. Certainly not when I was in the room with them that I can recall.
Right, now I'm going to ask you the same questions about federal officials. Did you inform any federal officials that one of your prosecution team members, a senior member of your office, had a child who was there at the time of the shooting?
No.
Did you tell anybody in federal government or federal law enforcement that you were going to be seeking the death penalty before Mr. Robinson was elected? I'm sorry, before Mr. Robinson was arrested?
I mean, when I talked to the governor, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino were there as well, so they heard my statement that that's what I intended to do.
Okay. And were you aware that before you filed that notice, the President of the United States went on national television and said, I hope he gets the death penalty?
I had heard that he said that, yes.
That was before you filed the notice?
Yes.
All right. Now, you stated in your briefing that your decision to file the death penalty notice when you did was partly because you ran for elected office 3 years earlier on a commitment to seek the death penalty.
Yes.
So you made a commitment. Sometimes we call that a campaign promise. I'm not trying to make light of it, but that is what we call commitments that we make to the voters, right?
It was a commitment that I would seek the death penalty in all appropriate cases.
And you knew before you filed the notice that the governor thought it was an appropriate case?
Yeah.
And the president thought it was an appropriate case?
Yeah.
Did Mr. Patel express his views?
Not that I recall. I mean, he was doing the bidding of the president. So, but I did find it a little interesting, Governor Cox, because he plays no part in the decision. So,
did you tell Governor Cox after he made those public statements, this is not your decision, this is my decision?
No.
Was it important to you that the people you selected to be on the team for this prosecution remain on the team? I mean, you handpicked this team, right?
I did handpick this team.
All right. And the person whose child we're talking about is a long-standing, experienced senior member of your office,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
It was important to you that they be part of this case.
I want the best people on my team, and I believe I chose the best people.
May I have a moment?
Of course.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have no further questions for Mr. Gray. And if I may, what he told me is that he, after the examination, I assume that there's some cross-examination, he'll be available to be on call, so we don't need the court to address that with him, but he's going to leave the building,
Okay.
which is fine with us.
Yeah, but I'll be available to come back if needed.
Thank you, Mr. Gary. Thank you, Mr. Novak.
Thank you. And I'd just like the record to reflect that it's 5 minutes after 2 when I've concluded my direct.
I appreciate that.
Did you?
Not yet. Not yet.
To the state, Mr. McBride.
I'm going to refer to the prosecutor in your office whose child was present at the shooting as Prosecutor A. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yes,
Have you ever met Prosecutor A's child that was present at that shooting?
not that I can remember. I could have in passing, but not that I can remember.
Did the presence of Prosecutor A's child have any effect on the decisions you've made in this case?
0.
Did that child's presence have any effect on your decision to seek the death penalty?
0.
Why did you choose to seek the death penalty in this case?
Because the evidence that had been gathered supports the aggravated murder charge, and I believe that the death penalty is entirely appropriate in this particular case.
On September 10th, you've testified that you learned that Prosecutor A's child was present at the shooting, correct?
Yes,
Did her presence affect the decisions you made on September 10th at all?
no,
Will you describe how her presence affected your decision-making on that day and in the few days following before you charged?
it had no effect whatsoever. I mean, quite frankly, as I think I testified earlier, I didn't even give it a second thought after I was told about that.
There's been some question about the reason you chose to seek the death penalty at the time you did. Now, the law in Utah allows you to wait to announce the decision to seek the death penalty until after arraignment, correct?
Yes.
Why did you give the notice of intent to seek the death penalty at the time you did rather than waiting?
I had learned from experience in a prior case, in particular, the Michael Jane case, that in a highly publicized case, the longer that you delay that decision, even though, I mean, I may very well make the decision early on, and I have in certain cases, but the more delay, then it just creates all this unnecessary public speculation and everything else. And we actually, in the Michael Jane case, I went to my attorneys and they said, yeah, we usually wait. But so I was waiting, but then Channel 2, I believe it was, contacted me and said that they had learned information that we were taking the death penalty off of that case. And so I had to hurry and call them before that, say that's not true. And within a month, I filed the death penalty. But it creates unnecessary angst with families of victims. I knew that this particular case was, talk about publicity. It's even more so in this case than it was in Michael Jane case. And I wanted to shut that out so that we didn't have to deal with that. And so that Erica Kirk didn't have to deal with that uncertainty.
Okay, as you made the decision in this, so that's the reason you made the decision at the time you did. Is
Yes.
that right?
Yeah.
to avoid that uncertainty, speculation, and so forth.
Yes.
Was that decision made because Prosecutor A's child was present at the event?
No.
You talked about a campaign promise. When did you run for county attorney and make that campaign commitment to voters that you would seek the death penalty in appropriate cases?
It was
What year?
it was about 4 years from this very time.
Okay.
So
At that time, did you know Prosecutor A?
I knew of him, but I mean, because I had handled,
Had you met him personally and interacted with him personally?
No.
You just knew who he was?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, at some point after I won the election, I met with him and others to determine who.
Understood. But at that time when you were making that campaign commitment, was it because you knew Prosecutor A?
No.
Okay. Was it because Prosecutor A had an adult child?
No.
Okay. Decision making. As far as the decision making in this case goes, who makes the ultimate decisions on major decisions in this case?
I do.
Does Prosecutor A, does the buck stop with Prosecutor A?
No.
There's been some evidence that deputy county attorneys in your office went to the command center at Utah Valley University on September 10th and the days after that.
Yes.
Is that a normal process?
Yes. In any homicide case or big case, we'll have attorneys respond to the command post to offer any assistance that may be needed, which may include search warrants or discussions about, the need for certain evidence.
So having attorneys appear at Utah Valley University that day was not unusual?
How many? I mean,
No. My question is, having attorneys appear at the crime.
not unusual at all.
Do you know which attorneys went?
Yes. I know that I went, Mr. Grunander went, you went, Ryan McBride, and David Sturgill went. And I don't believe any others. Somebody else may have gone there for a short period of time, but I don't recall seeing them there.
Did those attorneys go there because Prosecutor A's child was present?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Aside from charging, have many major decisions, aside from charging and the notice of seeking the death penalty in this case, have many major decisions been made in this case?
I mean, major decisions. No, I mean, what comes to my mind is one major decision was to make sure that defense counsel gets discovery in a timely manner. That was quite frankly foremost on my mind once we filed the case. And I personally directed procedures to be put in place so that there would be no mistake as to what the defense counsel received and what we had. I mean, every time there's a motion, obviously the team is working on it. We work on it together. But I mean, as far as trial strategies or things like that, none of those decisions have been made.
Is it fair to say that aside from charging and the death penalty decision, is it fair to say that the most important decisions are yet to be made in this case?
Yes.
That includes trial strategy,
Yes.
preliminary hearing strategy,
Yes.
any plea negotiation.
Yes.
In all the decisions that have been made up to date, has Prosecutor A's child come up in those decisions?
No. Not
I
that
should say,
can-
aside from this motion.
Aside from this motion, yeah.
And so aside from this, I'm going to ask that question again to make sure the record is clear. aside from this motion to disqualify the Utah County Attorney's Office, has Prosecutor A's child come up in any of the decisions made in this case?
No.
Has Prosecutor A's involvement in this as a witness here affected the prosecution in any way in this case, in your opinion and observation?
No.
Do you believe it will affect the prosecution in the future?
No.
Why not?
Because this is somebody that happened to be there. That has, what we're concerned about is the evidence supporting the charges. That's first and foremost. And that has nothing to do with somebody that happened to be there. Quite frankly, completely irrelevant to anything that matters in the case.
Okay. A couple other follow-ups. Earlier, you testified that Prosecutor A received a you were with Prosecutor A when Prosecutor A received a message from his child that Charlie Kirk had been shot.
Yes.
Is that right? And then you testified that Prosecutor A left to go to the scene. Do you know why Prosecutor A left? Was it to go to the scene and help law enforcement or to be with his child?
To assist in any way we can with law enforcement.
Okay. You previously testified that you did not consult the Attorney General's office about whether or not this was a conflict of interest that would require your office to leave the case or to refer the case. Why did you not consult the Attorney General's office?
Because what they would have done is, researched it and then come back. And I've done that for, over 30 years in my practice. I'm capable of doing that.
Researched it where?
Case law and so forth. Again, I do not believe that there's any conflict whatsoever. I made that conclusion. I stand by that. Out of an abundance of caution, we certainly notified counsel out of an abundance of caution. And I think that's the appropriate action to take. Again, I understand the concern about conflict is whether or not it has any possibility of affecting your decision-making as a prosecutor. And I didn't see how this does in any way.
Okay, if I can have just a moment. You said you had some neighbors that had children that attended the event where Mr. Kirk was shot.
I was told that they were there, yeah.
When did you learn that those people were there?
I don't know, a couple weeks after, I believe, after the event.
After the charging decision was made?
Yes.
How closely do you know the children that were there?
Not well at all.
Okay.
Maybe a hello or something out on occasion. But as far as I know, I'm not even sure that they even live in our ward at all at this point.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Novak.
No, thank you, Your Honor. I don't have any redirect at this time.
All right. And as previously discussed, may Mr. Gray be excused?
For now, yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gray. Mr. Novak, your next witness. Or I'm sorry, Ms. Nestor.
Your Honor, at this time we were going to call the adult child, but I believe that individual's attorney, they're ready? Okay, then they are ready. So we would like to proceed with calling the adult child at this point. I think it would be appropriate to hear whether or not we close the hearing or at least come up with some ground rules about preventing any photography or mentioning of her name, however the court desires to handle it.
Thank you. I'll hear briefly from the parties. I did read the proffer of facts regarding the closure of portions of the evidentiary hearing on the motion to disqualify the Utah County Attorney's Office, and I'll hear any additional argument or statements prior to making a ruling.
Your Honor, Ryan McBride for the state. We do move to close the hearing for the testimony of the adult child. I think the rationale that I explained previously still stands. The rules of judicial administration allow closure for privacy and safety reasons. I believe with the proffer of facts that the defense has accepted here, we have shown that there are privacy and safety reasons that favor closing the hearing. Defense counsel has stipulated a closure of this portion of the hearing. The media in the past has stipulated to closure of the hearing. I think the record is adequate. I think the safety concerns support closure. And absent any questions from the court, I would make that motion now.
Thank you. Anything further from the parties?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right. So the prosecution cited to the media. Did you want to weigh in?
The media does not object to the closure of this portion.
Thank you. The court has reviewed the parties' prior arguments and materials submitted in advance of today's hearing, including the filing entitled Proffer of Facts regarding closure of portions of the evidentiary hearing on the motion to disqualify the Utah County Attorney's Office. The defense has requested that the testimony of certain witnesses, specifically Prosecutor A, an adult child witness, be received in a closed session pursuant to Utah Rule of Judicial Administration 4-202, citing concerns related to personal privacy and safety. The court acknowledges that Rule 4-202 permits limited closure of court proceedings in appropriate circumstances. At the same time, this court is required to consider countervailing interests identified in Rule 4-202, including the public's right to observe the conduct of public business, to understand the operation of government, and maintain confidence in the judicial process. This court must also be mindful of the constitutional rights of Mr. Robinson, as well as the constitutional and statutory rights of Ms. Erica Kirk in her role as victim representative. The purpose of today's evidentiary hearing is limited and specific. The court is asked to consider the defendant's claim that a member of the prosecution team, referred to as deputy county attorney in one of the motions, has a personal conflict of interest, that any such conflict extends to the Utah County Attorney's Office, and that disqualification is therefore required. The court's role at this stage is to receive relevant evidence and to rule based on the record and applicable law without reaching the merits of those claims in advance. The parties have filed public motions outlining the anticipated evidence and testimony related to the motion to disqualify, including the state's opposition, the defense reply, and request to take evidence in the defense original motion. Those filings describe the general subject matter expected to be addressed at today's hearing. If the adult child witness is called to testify, which is the request at this point, the court will consider that testimony as part of the evidentiary record. After careful consideration of the record, the arguments of counsel, and the interests identified in Utah Rule of Judicial Administration 4-202, the court finds that closure of the adult child witness's testimony is not necessary and would not be narrowly tailored under the circumstances presented. The court further finds that the interests of openness and transparency outweigh the asserted grounds for closure as to that testimony, and that the rights of the parties and witnesses can be adequately protected through least restrictive means available to the court. For those reasons, the request of both the state and defense to conduct the adult child witness's testimony in closed session is partially denied.
All right, folks, you're watching the pre-trial hearing about conflicts of interest with the attorneys in Utah. So let's jump over now to the White House, where Trump is speaking live.
Done an incredible job. Done really an incredible job, and we appreciate it. Tom Cole, Ronnie Jackson, Governor Steve. I want to just say he had a rough week or so, right? He had an incredible wife who passed away. But she was an incredible woman, and everybody knows it, everybody up here, so we're with you all the way. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. President.
I'm glad you
We're
could
grateful.
be here.
Grateful for
I
it.
understand it. That's a rough deal. He went through rough. He had a good marriage. Good marriage is better than a bad marriage. But it makes it a little bit tougher when something like that happens. Robert Adderholt.
Not here. Thank you.
Susan Collins. Hi, Susan. I heard you're doing good. Cindy Hyde-Smith.
Nice here.
Cindy, well, you always do good, Cindy.
Thank you.
Bill Haggerty. Hi, Bill. Lindsey Graham, who's way up in the polls. Lindsey, what's going on with you? You're so high. I don't
Has a
think.
lot to do with you, don't forget that.
Has the opponent dropped out yet? Has your Democrat opponent
You
dropped
come to
out?
South Carolina, they're gone.
Mario Diaz-Balart.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mario. Katie Britt.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Katie. What a job you're doing.
Thank you.
John Barrasso. He knows more about healthcare than any human being on earth, I think, when I need somebody. John is a great person, too. Shelley Moore Capito. Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you, sir.
Very much. Hal Duncan, Associate Director of the Legislative Affairs. Thank you, Hal. Great job. And Susan Ross Avison and Betsy McConnell, they were really instrumental and they really worked hard. So I want to thank you all. I don't want to, anybody I didn't mention? Oh boy, that'd be nice. Because, you know, it's a little embarrassing when they stick their hand up. I think they'd just be quiet. It's probably easier. But I'm glad, I'm glad we got you in because you really have worked hard. This bill is a great victory for the American people. Instead of a bloated and wasteful omnibus monstrosity full of special interest handouts, we've succeeded in passing a fiscally responsible package that actually cuts wasteful federal spending while supporting critical programs for the safety, security, and prosperity of the American people. And this group of people behind me and others, and a lot of votes, they really have done a fantastic job because closing the country, you know, we had a 5 it looks like 5.6, and it could have been 7. Well, it's a 1.5 because of a 42-day shutdown. And that's the least of it. But we would have been at 7. Can you believe it? 7 GDP. Nobody ever heard of a 7 GDP. So I'm glad we got this done because this would be another 1.5 or something, or maybe worse. The bill officially ends all taxpayer subsidies for radical far-left woke programming on NPR and PBS, so just a waste of money. It slashes nearly $10 billion in wasteful foreign aid spending, giving money to countries that don't need it. They have plenty of money. And we ended that. That was so important, $10 billion. Think of it. It continues the closure of USAID and creates a brand new America First Opportunity Fund for responsibly providing foreign assistance to nations where it actually serves American interests. So we have nations that do help us and it serves our interests, so we have something to help them out with. This bill also cuts funding to abusive and weaponized IRS programs. I was a victim of that too. You probably read that. Did you read that recently, right?
Yes, sir.
I was, I guess, the ultimate victim. That were used to harass American taxpayers. It builds on the Republican rescissions package passed last summer, which saved Americans billions and billions of dollars. It fully funds our military, includes a well-deserved pay raise for all American service members, and makes historic investments in the American shipbuilding industry, which is great. We're really starting to do something incredible with shipbuilding. And I don't know if you saw that the United States of America, for the first time in over 30 years, beat Japan. We love Japan, great country, but their power in steel making, that we produce more steel this year than Japan. Think of that, more steel than Japan, and Japan is a powerhouse at that. And we were pretty much dead when it came to steel. So what do you think of that? To me, when I heard that, we did more than Japan. It continues to fund deportation flights that are removing dangerous illegal aliens from our country. It continues historically successful efforts to reduce crime in our nation's capital. We have a very safe city right now. We have a city that is like a different world from what it was a year and a half ago. when you couldn't walk down a street without being hurt very badly. I want to say that in a nice way. Washington, D.C. is a safe city. Memphis, by the way, is down. Crime is down 77%. Amen. And in New Orleans, I don't know if you heard these numbers, but in New Orleans, we started 4 weeks ago, max. And crime is down 68%. It's going to be down to practically nothing within the next month. Pretty amazing. But it all helped cut the number of murders in D.C. by 80%. And we have numbers coming up, newer numbers. We're down 97% in murders. It's a horrible thing to even be talking about, murders in D.C. But a lot of people were being killed in Washington, D.C., if you can believe it. And now we have a very safe, I don't know if there's any such thing as crime-free, but pretty close in January compared to 12 months ago. So we have close to 95% down crime in Washington, D.C. It allows all of you people to walk to the White House instead of getting into an Uber and getting mugged even as the Uber progresses, okay? And it continues funding for the Department of Homeland Security until later in the year. And finally, I am extremely pleased to announce that this bill includes a newly designated, movie star, Melania Trump Foster Youth to Independence Initiative. So she really loves the children, and she's had a tremendous success. So it's the #1 documentary in 19 years. Can you believe this? What do I get out of it? Get nothing out of it. Now I had a top model, now I have a top movie star. But we have a great First Lady. She loves children, and she had a tremendous vote on this. And I want to just say, Melania Trump Foster Youth to Independence Initiative within the Department of Housing and Urban Development, which will support America's foster youth and provide them critical resources as they age out of the foster care system. And the First Lady loves children, and she's been very much involved with children and helping them out and making them better. That's what she wants to do, wants to help them, and she wants to make them better. And she does a great job of it. She's respected, and her movie got really incredible reviews. She's done it. We're all proud of her, actually. It's amazing. Not easy to do that. Not easy to do it. So I just want to thank everybody for being here. If you would have some questions, I might just ask before you do that. These are all outstanding politicians, the top. In my opinion, the top in the whole world. But that's one of those things. I like to build it up a little bit. But they are. They're the top politicians. They're the top political minds. And if you have any statement, does anybody have a statement that you'd like to make? We'll start on the left side. Anybody? How about Mr. Speaker?
Well, this is a big thing, Mr. President. Thank you for your leadership and helping us steward this through. For a long time, we wanted to get back to regular order in the appropriations process. You're standing up here with the best appropriators in the business and have served in many years. And we forced the muscle memory back. We're getting back to that regular order process. 12 separate appropriations bills. We've gotten them to your desk, and this is a big thing. It seems like a small thing, but it's a big thing. And we're spending less money year over year, and with all the innovations and things that you said there, this is good for the country. And America is back. The hat is appropriate. That's the right slogan.
There's a new hat. We just came out. America is back. Look, CNN's thrilled. Look at her. She's never smiles. I never see her smile. Someday I'll see her smile.
Mr. President,
yes.
Could I mention that there's significant health care reform in this bill, PBM reform, something that you have been working on, and we appreciate and applaud your efforts, bringing drug prices down for citizens here in America. Not only that, but we extended telehealth, and also we are addressing maternal mortality in this bill. Rural health care has been a big part of your focus, and we appreciate that.
Thank you very much. Thank you, buddy. A very big thing, I think, for all of us is most favored nations on drug pricing. So for 30 years I've been talking about it, more than that, and it's basically we now will take prescription drugs will come down to the lowest price anywhere in the world. So if a country is selling a pill for $10 and we're selling it for $130, which is not much of an exaggeration at all, we were paying the highest drug prices anywhere in the world. Now we'll be paying tied with the lowest price. It's most favored nations. We will have the lowest price anywhere in the world. So a pill that was for $130 will be down to $20. So you can make a case that that's 800, 900%, or like the press likes to hear, it's about 80%. But we're going to get reductions like nobody's ever seen. And frankly, the Republican Party should be able to win the midterms on that alone. That's the biggest thing there is. Most favored nations, we're going to be bringing the price of drugs down. In my first term, I got it down 1/8 of 1%. And I was so proud because it's the first time in 28 years that drug prices came down. And now we're talking about bringing it down by 80, 90, 75, 68. I mean, I have numbers in the back that nobody can believe. Most favored nations. And remember, the Republicans did that. The Democrats did not do that. Republicans did it. And that's going to have a huge impact also on healthcare, because medicine, I mean, it's a big chunk of healthcare. And if you're bringing something down from $100 down to $20, $18, because we were subsidizing the entire world. And frankly, I had to get the countries to go along with it, and I had to threaten tariffs against them if they didn't approve. And the healthcare companies, who weren't easy either, but they said it doesn't matter because they'll never get the countries, because they didn't really want to do it. And I got the countries. I got every one of them. And really, people can't even believe it. But for the people standing behind me, if you use that alone, you should win. We should win the elections coming up. Anybody else? How about on this side?
Well, you mentioned the IRS,
Yeah,
Mr. President. Their behavior has been atrocious. If you think about leaking your tax returns, the tax returns of others, and never any accountability. I must have questioned Janet Yellen 4 times, 5 times under oath about this, and never an answer. We've stripped $10 billion from the IRS in this bill that you just signed. And today, I launched an investigation with my staff on all of these contractors that are associated with the ones that allowed your information to be put out. These contractors that hire activists to come in and do their work. These corporations here in America that bring activists in to do their work. That's going to come to an end.
They did leak my tax returns. It was terrible. The good news is I paid a hell of a lot of tax. I paid tens of millions of dollars. I said, where are my accountants? I want to talk to my accountant. But they did. They leaked my tax returns. They didn't do it in a nice way. They tried to get something out of it. No, they're bad people.
Accountability is coming, though. You think about the phone companies that leaked our telephone records, several of us here.
Right.
Verizon leaked my telephone records. You think about what's happened across the country. This is going to come to an end.
And we should have voter ID, by the way. We should have a lot of the things that I think everybody wants to see. Who would not want voter ID? Only somebody that wants to cheat. Think of it. We don't have voter ID. And the Democrats don't want it. And the reason they don't want it because they want to cheat. Because there's no reason in the world. And I love that debate, Lindsay. I love saying, well, why don't you want voter ID? And you watch them say, I don't know. I just
Make them vote.
No, it's a terrible thing. So anyway, anybody else?
Well, Mr. President, you said you wanted to make America safer and more prosperous,
Right.
and we have done it. More prosperity means more money in people's pockets, and they notice that every time they go to fill up with gas, and they're going to know it when they get their tax returns that this year are going to be at least $1,000, if not more, greater than it's been in the past, and that's a result of the work that you've done with this whole group. And in terms of America being safer, a number of us were at the border 2 weeks ago. The border is secure. No one is coming across, not the 10,000 we saw every day with Joe Biden. And the American people still, in overwhelming numbers, Republicans, Democrats, and independents all say illegal immigrant criminals need to be deported. And Mr. President, you're doing that.
And no tax on tips.
No tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security,
No tax on
more money
Think
in
of it.
people's pockets.
Think of it. And that was all the great big beautiful bill, as I call it, the great big beautiful bill. To me, that's what it is. And people are starting to realize it now. They're starting to see it.
They're gonna
And
see it in their
a tax deduction on if you buy a car, if it's made in America, only if it's made in America. The rest we don't care about so much. But you buy a car, you get an interest deduction. You borrow money, you get an interest tax deduction. And that is, you take interest, you deduct it against your tax. So to me, that's unbelievable for the people, unbelievable for our car companies, which is jobs. Anybody else have anything?
Mr. President, The biggest part of this bill is our national security.
Right.
And thank you. The men and women who serve this country are grateful to you. We give them a pay raise. We're building more ships, as you said, planes, missiles. We need to defend this country, and you're doing a great job and leading us in the right direction.
Thank you very much. Katie, go ahead. You were going to say something?
Yeah, no, Mr. President, this is just unprecedented leadership. The fact that you got everyone to come together and actually get these bills across the finish line, you heard it from the Speaker that hasn't happened in a long time. So 96% of the government being funded, your priorities put in place, Mr. President, so that we can make the country safer, we can make it more prosperous, and not only can we make America great again, but we can tell people now America is back.
Yeah, it's a great, we'll never forget MAGA, and we're all with MAGA, but I thought this was very appropriate, right?
Love it.
Right?
Love it. It says everything.
Cindy Hyde, come on, say something.
Well, there's a little hospital in here, a rural hospital in Maple, Mississippi,
Right?
called Franklin County Hospital. It would have closed the end of this month without this bill. Thank you from everybody in Mississippi, especially Franklin County.
And we've covered the rural very well. Nobody ever thought it was possible because we had a lot of opposition from the Democrats, as you know, but nobody thought it was possible. That's great. How about it? Anybody back there? Tom?
Best budget for Native Americans ever, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Appreciate that help.
So we'll sign it, and if you would have some questions of anybody up here.
Let me just piggyback with you. This rural America is taken care of in this bill, and I mean, as Cindy says. So thank you for all America, but especially rural America.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. So I probably won't hold this up. And I think holding up one little page doesn't do it justice. 'Cause in there, it's a lot of stuff, but it's signed. Thank you.
On Iran, are the negotiations still happening this week?
Yeah.
Where will they be? And what do you need to hear from Iran?
They're all over, but they are negotiating. They'd like to do something, and we'll see if something is going to be done. They had a chance to do something a while ago, and it didn't work out, and we did Midnight Hammer. I don't think they want that happening again, but they would like to negotiate. We are negotiating with them right now, yes.
Mr. President. Where will the meeting be? It seems like
I
it's
can't tell
changing.
you that.
Mr. President.
There's more than one meeting. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, how was your meeting with Gustavo Petro earlier today, and did you come to any agreement on counter-narcotic efforts?
Yeah, we did. We worked on it, and we got along very well. He and I weren't exactly the best of friends, but I wasn't insulted because I never met him. I didn't know him at all. And we got along very well, and we're working on that. We're working on some other things too, including sanctions. And we had a very good meeting.
So you did an agreement?
I thought he was terrific. He was very good. We got along great.
Mr. President, can you give us any update on how the talks are going for potential changes to the Department of Homeland Security? Have you agreed to any specifics?
None. Well, we have a secure border. In fact, we have 9 months now where nobody has come into our country illegally. Now, I don't know if I can believe that because, you go from 25 million people to nobody, but the Democrats do that. They're leaning left, the people that do that report. And for 9 months, they have said nobody has come into it. It is a strong, great border. We do have people coming into our country, but they're all coming in legally. You take a look at that and look at what was going on a year and a half ago on our border, where criminals were coming in, drug dealers were coming in, people from mental institutions were coming in. The worst, they say the worst, I don't even know if I like the term, but the worst of the worst was coming into our country. And now we have virtually our country it's beautiful to see. Even if you go down, some of you, I think, were down there a couple of weeks ago, and you couldn't believe it, right? Because you were there 2 years ago.
10,000 a day.
And 10,000 a day. And now you didn't even see anybody. Nobody comes up with saving lives because nobody comes up. They have to come through the jungles, and they're dying of all sorts of problems, including murder. And we have nobody coming in, and we're getting people out. That we have 11,888 murderers who came into our country. We're getting them out. We're getting them out fast. And the only place where there's a little bit of a problem, and I will tell you this, Minnesota, they're crying because of us, because we've taken out thousands of criminals. their crime is down, not because of anybody else, it's because of us. Their crime is down. But all over the country, wherever we're involved, we're getting criminals out of our country, and the crime rate now is the lowest it's been since 1900. That's 125 years, and that's despite the fact with an open border stupid policy, 25 million people, in my opinion, came into our country, and many of those people should not have been allowed to come into our country.
On Ukraine, Mr. President, yesterday you were talking about how Vladimir Putin had agreed to a pause during the cold weather. Overnight, those attacks have started up again. Apparently, the worst.
It was Sunday to Sunday, and it opened up, and he hit him hard last night. No, he agreed. He kept his word on that. It's a lot. 1 week is, we'll take anything because it's really, really cold over there. But it was on Sunday, and he went from Sunday to Sunday.
Are you disappointed he didn't go further or go
I would like to. I want him to end the war. I spoke to him. I want him to end the war.
Mr. President, what exactly did you mean when you said that you should nationalize elections? And which 15 states are you talking about?
I want to see elections be honest. And if a state can't run an election, I think the people behind me should do something about it. Because, if you think about it, a state is an agent for the federal government in elections. I don't know why the federal government doesn't do them anyway. But when you see some of these states about how horribly they run their elections, what a disgrace it is, I think the federal government, when you see crooked elections, and we had plenty of them, and by the way, we had them last time, but go to 2020 and look at the facts that are coming out. Rigged, crooked elections. If we have areas, take a look at Detroit, take a look at Pennsylvania, take a look at Philadelphia. You go take a look at Atlanta, look at some of the places that horrible corruption on elections. And the federal government should not allow that. The federal government should get involved. These are agents of the federal government to count the votes. If they can't count the votes legally and honestly, then somebody else should take over.
The Constitution says it should be states that administer elections, Mr. President. That's what the
you know what?
Constitution says.
They can administer the election, but they have to do it honestly.
Are you open to negotiating on warrants when it comes to ICE? This is an ask from Senator Schumer. Requiring search warrants for ICE and immigration officials.
I haven't even thought of it. I'm not thinking about search warrants. Yeah, Lindsey Graham is going to answer that.
No, makes no sense. If we have to get a search warrant to get 15 million people out, Schumer's telling me he doesn't want them out. It's the most ridiculous idea. They do have some good ideas, I think. But I've got a better idea. It's your idea. In sanctuary cities. On immigration, I know what I'm talking about. I've got the scars to prove it. Y'all are playing like Biden didn't exist. Y'all won't tell the American people about Laken Riley. It's a one-sided debate. 4 years, our border was obliterated. They let them come in by the tens of millions, and they want to go back that way. We're not going. So, Mr. President, stick to your guns. If you got reforms that make ICE better, more professional, talk to me. But you should embrace what I'm suggesting. As long as 12 states have sanctuary policy, they'll keep coming. Unfortunately, you won't be president forever. These magnets of illegal immigration have to go. There is no upside to sanctuary city unless you're a complete radical nut job. The cops hate it, fraud around sanctuary cities, and you're going to get more illegal immigration. We'll have a debate. I've been trying to solve this problem, but what the Democrats are doing is they're not getting to the underlying problem. It's not Stephen Miller. It's not Chrissy Nome. It's not me. It's not you. It's policies that have been on the books that don't work. So if you want a debate on how to solve this problem, show up next week. I'm going to take President Trump's idea that it's time to end the insane policy of sanctuary cities. We're going to take it to the floor and we're going to vote, and people in November are going to get to see who they trust to keep the border secure. Schumer or Trump? I'm with Trump.
Mr. President, and by the way, I hope you're going to press that very hard. And the other thing, we are with you. I think everybody's with you. It's a sanctuary for criminals. That's who it is. They could make our lives so much easier. All they have to do is hand over their criminals, hand over people that came into our country illegally that are murderers, that came out of jails, that came out of mental institutions, that are drug dealers. I can't believe in Minnesota that they want to have murderers walking all over the streets. I just don't believe it. Maybe somebody says it's good politics. I don't think it's good politics. I think it's really bad. The other thing we can't lose sight of is you probably have in Minnesota, and it's worse in some places like California, $19 billion in fraud. And we're going to find out, you know, we're very deep into that investigation, but we're not going to forget that. A lot of people think that a lot of this nonsense that's going on is to try and, hide what's going on with respect to the fraud. They have at least $19 billion. You know, you're hearing 9. Now I'm hearing it's 19, and it's probably much more. So it's they talk about incompetence. I think it's not incompetence. I think it's just pure fraud. These are dishonest people. They're bad people. I think they hate our country, and we're going to get to the bottom of it. But don't let this hide the fact that you have tremendous fraud. And, if we find the fraud in this country, you'll have a balanced budget without even cutting anything. You'll literally have a balanced budget. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, in Colombia, are you planning to work with President Petro to fight guerrilla groups and terrorist organizations in Venezuela?
Well, they want me to do that, and we will. We're getting along very well in Venezuela with the leadership. Very, very well. We took in 50 million barrels of oil. It's right now heading to Houston. And we're getting along very well with them, but we're going to work with them, yes.
Mr. President, a few months ago, you had in your office here Peter Mandelson, the British ambassador. You were shaking hands with him over a trade deal. He's today been forced to resign from the House of Lords, the upper house of the British Parliament, over his links to Jeffrey Epstein. Just wondered if you had any reaction to that, since obviously he was
I didn't know about it, but I really don't know too much about it. I know who he is. It's too bad. Speaking of Epstein, I will say this. A reporter named Wolf and Epstein conspired. This just came out yesterday in the millions of pages of documents, how crazy this is. Conspired against me in order to fight like hell to make sure I lose the election. That's the only thing that was mentioned about me. Now, about Democrats, some really bad stuff. But about me, that Wolf, whoever Wolf is, he wrote a couple of books, and Epstein conspired against me. Did you know that, Mr. Senator?
I did know that.
They conspired against me, so I lose the election, or worse. So that takes care of Epstein as far as Trump is concerned, but you got a lot of Democrats out there that are very much involved with Epstein. But I'll be honest with you, you got to get back to running the country, too. Millions and millions every week. When Epstein was alive, nobody cared about him. When he's dead, they care about him. But it's really a Democrat problem. It's not a Republican, it's a Democrat problem. The only problem Republicans have is that we have to get back to, number one, running our country, and then number two, very importantly, letting the public know what a great job we're doing. We have the greatest economy in the history of the world. We have $18 trillion being spent. The record was $3 trillion many years ago, not by us, by another country. I won't say the country. Yeah, please.
Did you read those new files, Mr. President?
Have you been briefed on Savannah Guthrie's mom missing in Arizona?
I think it's terrible.
Would you commit to more federal agents, like helping out on the search?
Sure, I would. I'm going to call her later on. I think it's a terrible thing. I always got along very good with Savannah. Very unusual situation, but we're going to find out. Yeah, what do you want?
On the Epstein files, you talked about Democrats who were in there. Elon Musk was also in there, and so was your Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, and correspondence that he had with him. Did you read those new files that were published by the Department of Justice?
I didn't. I have a lot of things I'm doing. A lot of things I'm doing. I don't know. You mentioned two names. I'm sure they're fine. I'm sure they're fine. Otherwise, it would have been major headlines.
A lot of women who are survivors of Epstein's are unhappy with those redactions that came out. Some of them, entire witness interviews are totally blacked out. Do you think that they should be more transparent?
The fact that they thought they released too much. I heard that, and you tell me something else. No, I think it's really time for the country to get onto something else. Really, now that nothing came out about me, other than it was a conspiracy against me, literally, by Epstein and other people. But I think it's time now for the country to maybe get onto something else.
What would you say to people
like
who feel like they haven't gotten
healthcare
justice, Mr. President?
Something that people care about. Yeah, what did you say? Go ahead.
What would you say to
are
the
so
survivors
bad.
who feel like they haven't gotten
You are the
justice?
worst reporter. No wonder CNN has no ratings because of people like you. You know, she's a young woman. I don't think I've ever seen you smile. I've known you for 10 years. I don't think I've ever seen a smile on your face. You know why? You know why you're not smiling? Because you know you're not telling the truth, and you're a very dishonest organization, and they should be ashamed of you. Okay, go ahead.
You mentioned health care, and the bill that was just passed does not include your health care savings account. So this is a question for you, and maybe for Mr. Speaker as well.
I'm so proud of the health care savings accounts because it's going to happen. And hopefully, instead of insurance, and I hope this happens, and I hope you guys can do it, let the insurance companies not do quite as well. You know, they're going up 15, 16, 17, 100%. Think of it. The money should be paid directly to the people. You know, trillions of dollars goes out. The money should go to the people. They should buy their own health care. It can be in a health care, you know, account, savings account, any account you want to make. The money should go to the people. The people should buy their own health care, and they're going to save a lot of money, and they're going to have much better health care. And it's very simple. The problem is the Democrats are owned by those insurance companies. They're owned lock, stock, and barrel. And the Democrats will never vote on it because the Republicans should get that through. And you know how you get it through? The filibuster. Get rid of the filibuster and start voting. Yes.
Mr. President, today we heard that the Clintons set deposition dates to testify before the House Oversight Committee. Any reaction to that related to the Epstein?
I think it's a shame, to be honest. I always liked him. Her, yeah. Well, she's a very capable woman. She was better in debating than some of the other people, I will tell you that. She was smart woman. I hate to see it in many ways. I hate to see it. But, you know, then I look at me. They went after me like, you know, they wanted me to go to jail for the rest of my life. Then it turned out I was innocent, very innocent. You know, I had a friend that said, a very smart friend, he's a very wealthy man, knows the life, streetwise guy. He said, you have to be the most honest person anywhere in the world because there's never been anybody who's been examined up and down. You know, I had hundreds of thousands of pages of documents, millions of pages. With all of that, they found absolutely nothing wrong. Remember, his tax returns, they fought for years and years. And then the Supreme Court, I was surprised, they ruled I had to give my tax returns. I'm the only one that had to ever do that. But I had to give my tax returns. I gave my tax returns. They hired the best accounting firms in the world. They found nothing. And this friend of mine said, you have to be the most honest person in the world. He actually said, you know, me referring to him, I'm a pretty honest guy, but I could have never withstood that. They've gone through millions and millions of pages, and here I sit winning an election in a landslide, winning the popular vote, winning all 7 swing states, winning 86% of the counties in the United States. That's why those maps that you see are all red. And so they tried to put me in jail. And I shouldn't feel this way, but I feel badly that they have to go through that. But then I say, but they did far worse than me. They wanted to put me in jail. Think of it. I was a very good president. We had a great first term. Rebuilt the military, biggest tax cuts ever, biggest regulation cuts ever. But, you know, I will say this. I think I can say, what do you think, Lindsay? My second term is blowing my first term away. And my first term was really good.
Reagan plus.
Reagan plus, yeah. Well, whatever. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Press. Thank you, Press.
Well, I don't know about you, but the highlight of the last hour, I got to say, was Trump calling out Kaitlan Collins, calling her a nasty person, a terrible reporter, and that's why CNN's ratings are so low. I tend to agree with it. She used to be a nice person. She used to work for Daily Caller, for Tucker Carlson at Daily Caller. Her original job was that, and then somehow decided she was going to be a liberal, but she was a very fair reporter when she was on the right of center. Kaitlan Collins just taking the full force and thrust of Donald Trump right to the face, if you know what I'm saying there. That folks, I hate losing the show. I hate losing the show. I hate stepping aside. I know we got to do it. I know we have to do these things. But if I want to step aside, I want more of that. CNN taking it right on the chin from Trump, and Kaitlan Collins, boom, man down, so to speak. Warham coming up next. Have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow. I'll try and get some content in tomorrow.